This webinar is intended to give you a bit of a view on how you can use comparators to understand performance, or maybe more importantly, understand the different attributes of different types of comparators and the right terminology to use in understanding your actual performance. That's confusing too. Here, let me tell you what I'm talking about. If we take an objective like, become a teaching hospital, and the metric is going to be the number of graduate student days per month, we may have targets like this of actual performance, target, and benchmarks. To graph them, it would look a bit like this. So if we take a look at our performance for this year, comparing actual to target, the gap between our actual performance and target is what we'll call the performance gap. This is the gap between the planned performance, which is your target, and the actual performance. Now, the gap between the target, what you've been planning for, and best in class, that gap is a budget gap. The gap that you've actually planned for, because my planned target is at this level, and I'm planning to be below the best in class level. So that's a planned for budget gap. And then finally, there's a gap between best in class and world class. So that's the gap for your industry. The industry gap talks about how far your industry is away from world class performance. So these different gaps are important to understand, because when you take a look at our performance, comparing yourself to best in class or world class may not be the appropriate comparator depending on the questions that you're asking yourself. It's also important to understand the relative or strategic importance of those gaps so that you can focus on closing the right ones.